Hello, my dears, and welcome once again to Royal Mirror, the place where we polish every gem of royal gossip until it gleams with the glow of truth. Today, we are unraveling a story that might just warm your heart quicker than the Queen's corgis can gobble up their supper: the utterly endearing connection between King Charles and Princess Charlotte. Let us begin with a little question. Have you ever deeply longed for something, waited many years, only to find it in the most unexpected way? That, in essence, describes King Charles's personal journey toward having a young girl in his life. When Princess Charlotte celebrated her 10th birthday last week, royal enthusiasts did not just witness another milestone. They were reminded of a full decade of one of the most touching granddaughter bonds in the history of the House of Windsor. And in a family with more twists and turns than a season of your favorite drama series, that is no small claim. Now, take a moment and think back to the Victory Day commemorations on Monday. While little Prince Louis himself playing with the buttons on his father's uniform, bless his heart, Charlotte stood poised, composed, as though she had been performing royal duties for 5 decades, not merely one. At an age when most children are mastering birthday party etiquette, Charlotte already shows more grace than I can muster after 3 cups of coffee on a good day. But here is where things become especially interesting. King Charles was not simply beaming with typical grandparent pride. According to royal historian, the monarch once had a deep wish for a daughter of his own. Though his 2 sons are undoubtedly wonderful, the little girl he imagined never came until Charlotte. Not his daughter by blood, but in many ways the next best thing. I would say he has a very special relationship with his granddaughter, told People magazine, possibly the understatement of the century. It is like saying the Tower of London has a few interesting tales to tell, or that the Queen was fond of corgis. Still, how can we be sure this is not just another instance of royal commentators sipping tea and making grand assumptions with their pinkies raised? Well, in this case, we have it from someone quite close to the source, the late Princess Diana herself. In Morton's revealing biography Diana, her true story, the princess admitted something quite moving. After the birth of Prince Harry, Diana shared, "I knew Harry would be a boy because I saw it on the scan. Charles always wanted a girl. He wanted 2 children and one of them to be a girl. Poor Charles. The man destined to be king, it seems, could not will a daughter into existence, despite having access to just about everything else in the world. There is something reassuring about that, is there not? Even royalty cannot bend fate to their will. And yet, fate does have a peculiar sense of timing. A generation later, Prince William and Princess have not only 2 sons, but also a daughter, the jewel in the crown, one might say, who appears to have her grandfather wrapped around her little finger quicker than you can say constitutional monarchy. Still skeptical? Observant royal watchers, with sharper eyes than the guards at Palace, have noticed King Charles wearing what looks remarkably like a handmade bracelet. Not just any bracelet, but a friendship bracelet seemingly crafted by none other than Princess Charlotte herself. Now, I do not know about you, but the image of the King of England proudly donning a child's beaded creation while shaking hands with world leaders is the kind of wholesome, disarming moment I live for. Picture it, Charlotte seated at a small table, tongue poking out in concentration as she strings together colored beads for her beloved grandfather. And Charles, adorned in royal splendor, wearing it as if it were the most precious item in the royal vault. Honestly, it is enough to soften even the most hardened Republican heart. Of course, Charles is not the only one charmed by Charlotte. During the Victory Day ceremonies, while Prince Louis continued his reign as everyone's favorite unpredictable royal, Charlotte displayed a calm presence that had everyone whispering. Designer, who has had several encounters with the princess, could not contain her admiration. It is genuinely her personality. It is not an act. She appears confident and very at ease in herself and with her surroundings. That kind of maturity is rare, and she seems to embody it effortlessly. In simpler terms, Charlotte is not pretending to be a princess. She is living the part through and through. And is that not exactly the kind of daughter King Charles always imagined? Someone who carries herself with dignity, yet still sparkles with that impish charm that says, "I may be royal, but I am also enjoying it." Let us now consider Charlotte's upbringing, which is quietly revolutionizing what it means to be a modern royal. Instead of being sent off to some all-girls institution where one learns which spoon to use before tackling basic arithmetic, Charlotte attends preparatory school in Berkshire, right alongside her brothers. As explained, the monarchy has moved with the times. They no longer feel the need to separate boys and girls in their schooling. Integration is encouraged wherever possible. And thank goodness for that. Imagine Charlotte coming home from a traditional girls-only boarding school, trying to explain her day to Prince Louis, a boy who famously struggles to sit still during national ceremonies. Lessons in proper curtsying would likely fly right over his lively head. This more modern educational approach probably delights Charles, who, for all his traditional trappings, has displayed progressive instincts time and again. From speaking up about environmental concerns long before it was fashionable, to promoting interfaith dialogue and organic farming, the king has often been ahead of the cultural curve. Now, he has the pleasure of watching his granddaughter grow up with both heritage and modern values, a fusion of past and future, if ever there was one. But let us circle back to the heart of this story, that unshakable connection between a grandfather and granddaughter. There is something undeniably touching about a man who once longed for a daughter finding joy, unexpectedly and fully, in his granddaughter. It is as though the universe whispered, "Not yet, Charles. But here is something just as special, a little princess to carry your legacy forward with joy and strength." Watch them together, and you will notice it, a softness in Charles that was not always evident with his own children. Perhaps that is the true charm of all of the joy, none of the pressure to be the strict authority figure. Or maybe it is deeper, the fulfillment of a lifelong hope finally coming to life through Charlotte. And she seems to feel it too. Have you noticed how she tends to stand near him during public events? How her most radiant smiles often seem reserved for him? There is a warmth there that goes beyond formal duty, a connection deeper than protocol. One can imagine their private moments, Charles teaching Charlotte about the gardens or Charlotte proudly presenting her school projects. Perhaps they bond over their shared love of art. Charles is a skilled watercolorist, and who is to say what artistic talents might be emerging in Charlotte? Picture the two of them, the King of England and his little granddaughter, enjoying afternoon tea, chatting about Queen Elizabeth II, her great-grandmother. These are the quiet, unphotographed moments that make royal life feel truly human. And that, my friends, is what keeps us endlessly fascinated by royalty. Not merely the pageantry, the parades, or the palaces, but the deeply human connections behind the palace gates. A grandfather who once wished for a daughter now finds pure joy in a granddaughter. A little girl who grows stronger in the knowledge that she is loved not only as a royal, but simply as Charlotte. As she grows into her place in the royal family, this bond with her grandfather may become even more essential. Charles brings the wisdom of decades navigating royal expectations. Charlotte brings a fresh energy rooted in modern times. Together, they represent the bridge between tradition and transformation. So there you have it, Royal Mirror viewers, the touching tale of King Charles and Princess Charlotte. A grandfather's long-held wish, finally fulfilled in the most unexpected and beautiful way. If this story touched your heart, do the royal thing. Press that like button with the enthusiasm of a corgi leaping for a snack, subscribe faster than Prince Louis steals the spotlight, and ring that notification bell like it is the start of a royal wedding. And do share in the comments, what has been your favorite Princess Charlotte moment so far? Until next time, this is Royal Mirror, reflecting the shining truths behind the palace doors. Cheerio.